Joining us right now, Colorado Senator, a member of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, Cory Gardner. Senator Gardner, thanks for joining us. Your reaction and the reaction from Congress right now.
Well, it would appear that the era of leading from behind is over. This is an appropriate response in a proportionate way to a devastating and atrocious attack on men, women, and children in Syria by the Assad regime. It's a sign that the international community is beginning to come together to reject the leadership of Assad and his allies. Now, remember, the Assad regime is backed by the Iranians. It's backed by Russia, and those nations have blood on their hands, as does the Assad regime.
Now we know that Fox News is reporting about 20 Syrian aircraft were destroyed. None of the Syrian jets managed to take off and escape before the U.S. missiles hit the target. And the Russians were warned an hour before the missiles impacted. There were no Russian aircraft at that airfield. Do you see this as the beginning of a campaign or a one-off?
Well, we'll learn more in the coming days. What I think we have to use this opportunity for, though, is to gather nations around the globe, like-minded nations who are interested in putting an end to the atrocities in Syria and into the civil war, get a coalition together, implement a safe zone, implement ideas and policies that will put an end to this regime. The United States isn't going to do this alone. We shouldn't do this alone. We should gather like-minded nations, our partners in the area, our partners around the globe, to make sure that we bring peace and an end to the conflict in Syria.
Now, we heard what Marco Rubio said earlier, that the president had absolute authority to do this, but we also know that he did not get an authority from Congress beforehand. How do you feel about that? Was this the right move, or did he need some kind of authority from Congress first?
Well, it's my understanding that the president consulted with the appropriate members of Congress, that consultation did occur. It's also my understanding that we will, in the coming days, have briefings and more information from the administration regarding what took place. I believe the president had authority under the 2001 AUMF and also under international humanitarian law as a result of the violations of international law stemming from the use of chemical weapons against the Syrian people by the Assad regime. And so, look, there should be consultation with Congress. We will hear more from the administration, but we need to hear more about how our global partnership is going to work to proceed to peace in Syria.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. Meanwhile, Senate Republicans broke a historic precedent last night, deploying the so-called nuclear option to break a Democratic filibuster on the Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch. I want to get your take on this, Senator. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Senator Lindsey Graham weighed in. Watch this. Got to get your reaction.
The opposition to this particular nominee is more about the man that nominated him and the party he represents than the nominee himself.
I hate that we arrived here, but we can't have a system where Democrats get their judges and Republicans don't. It's an unavoidable consequence of a bad decision. Yeah, it's going to hurt the Senate. It's going to make judges more ideological over time.
So this final confirmation vote expected to take place at 11:30 a.m. today, Senator. What's your reaction?
Well, Neil Gorsuch, a fourth-generation Coloradan, I'm proud to say, is an outstanding legal mind. He's an outstanding jurist, the highest qualifications from the American Bar Association, the deepest respect from his colleagues around the country who serve on the bench with him. It is a shame that for over 200 years, Chuck Schumer watched as this country, 200 years we had a history in this country of allowing Supreme Court nominees to move forward. 200 years, Chuck Schumer wanted to change of that precedent. And it's a shame. Never has there been a successful partisan filibuster of a Supreme Court justice, and so we had to move forward on what will be a bipartisan vote today to confirm Neil Gorsuch. There will be Democrats and Republicans voting for the confirmation of Judge Gorsuch today. The only partisanship will be in the opposition.
All right, Senator, we'll leave it there. Good to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much, Senator. Senator Cory Gardner joining us there in Washington.